Cordova, the jewel of Andalusia in western Spain. This former center of world civilization, in Guadalquivir, is the pride of the Iberian region. Becoming an administration capital as early as 169 years before Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, Cordoba was historically known to be a highly coveted city. In 45 BC, the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar succeeded in conquering the city in the Battle of Manda. He later made Cordoba into one of the Roman Empire's administrative centers in Spain. The influence from different empires can be seen on nearly every corner of the city. In the 5th century AD, Cordoba was governed by the Byzantine Romans. Later, in the mid-6th century AD, the Visigoths took over the city. The tides changed once more with the arrival of Islam at the beginning of the 8th century AD in the Iberian Peninsula. The Muslim army, led by Mughith al-Rumi, with his 700-strong cavalry, succeeded in breaking into the city of Cordoba. And once more, the streets of Cordoba witnessed the arrival of foreigners who were determined to conquer the city. It was here that the Muslims who constituted the Arabs and the Berbers from North Africa built their first settlements. They were called Moorish by the local inhabitants. An estimated 1 million Moors had lived on this land. The Muslim influence in Spain ended in the 13th century AD, leaving behind a long history to be remembered for generations to come. The fall of the Muslim Empire did not mean that Islam was totally eradicated from this land. Abdullah bin Imran, a Spaniard, chose Islam as his way of life since 21 years ago. To him, Islam is the pure light which guides him to appreciate peace and to obey the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Abdullah's restaurant is the only restaurant which serves Muslim halal lawful food for Muslim customers. Abdullah, who is 50, has 2 wives and 15 children. He is active in Islamic missionary work. During the month of Ramadan in 2003, he succeeded in converting 13 Spaniards into Islam. Abdullah is helped by his son Muhammad in managing this restaurant. Abdullah and his family members are happy to run the business. His restaurant serves halal food to Muslim tourists who visit Cordoba. He thinks that it is his responsibility as a local to provide this service to his Muslim brothers. The hospitality shown to Muslims and non-Muslims alike serves as a mirror to show the high moral fiber of the Muslim character. Located on the bank of the Guadalquivir River is a defensive fort which was built in 1360, more than 100 years after the fall of the Islamic Empire in Cordoba. This building is called Torre de la Clajora. It has been converted into a museum of Andalusian civilization by the Roger Garaudi Foundation. Ibn Rushd was born in the city in 1126 AD and died in 1198 AD in Morocco. He was one among many famous personalities originated from Cordoba. He was very skilled in philosophy and medicine. During the golden age of Cordoba, scholars from different ethnic groups and religions stood shoulder to shoulder to work for the advancement of human civilization. One such person was the Jewish scholar Maimonides. The Muslims' advancement in the field of medicine was far ahead of other communities in the world. This replica of an operation apparatus displayed in the Museum of Andalusian Civilization, is an evidence to the fact that the Muslims were the pioneers in the field of medicine. This is the astrolabe, an invention created by Al-Zarqala, which is used to calculate the position of stars and the Earth's longitude. It is also used to determine the time of the day. It is a very important instrument in determining prayer times and for seafaring purposes. This is a star atlas, which was invented by a Muslim scholar who was an expert in astronomy. This atlas has helped the Muslims in researching and understanding the miracles of nature, including the position of stars in the universe. The reason behind the establishment of the museum, opened in 1987, is not only to display the development and heritage of Andalusia, it is also to inform visitors about the culture and life of the Cordoban community. Culture and performing arts were also developed. The result is a unique Andalusian musical melody. Oud is a musical instrument inherited by the Andalusians from the Persians. The colorful history of Córdoba leaves an impact on those who choose to contemplate on it. Jabal Arus, or the Bride's Hill, is the land upon which a palace named Medinat al-Zahra was built. The palace, which is located about 5 kilometers from Córdoba, was built by Abdurrahman III. It is said that Medinat al-Zahra was a gift of love for his queen. Another view says that the caliph built the palace to curtail the influence of the Berbers who tried to stir up a revolution. From the perspectives of mapping and location, Medinat al-Zahra has its own uniqueness. It was built with the concept of emulating the holy city Medina al-Munawwara. Abdurrahman III moved into the palace in 946 AD, 4 years after the construction was started. According to historical writings, the total construction area of Medinat al-Zahra was 112 hectares. 10,000 workers took part in its construction, which took over 25 years to complete. Its architecture reflects the construction technology current during that period. And today, reconstruction and preservation efforts are actively pursued. Like other monuments in Córdoba, which have been reconstructed, a historical heritage like the palace is a source of information which should be explored and be made into a valuable heritage. In the 15th century AD, Medinat al-Zahra suffered a catastrophe. The palace, and even its name, was lost for 9 centuries, buried underground. The location of Córdoba la Vieja, or Old Córdoba, is easier to be explored by historians due to its location in the plains of southern Sierra Morena. The magnificence of this palace was mentioned in Islamic history books of Andalusia, which provided the basic information to the researchers, which helped them in finding the lost palace of Medinat al-Zahra. Starting with a few small discoveries in 1910, today, Medinat al-Zahra has nearly unveiled its complete countenance. The beauty of Medinat al-Zahra is said to be able to compete with the magnificence and beauty of the Córdoba Mosque. The most interesting construct in Medinat al-Zahra is its reception hall. This reception hall is luxuriously decorated, in keeping with its function as a place where the caliph received his guests. This reception hall was also used to receive special guests such as politicians, ambassadors, ministers, and leaders of other nations. The priority given to the restoration of this location will give the opportunity for the society to appreciate the Islamic civilization which once flourished in their region. In 1989, the autonomous government of Andalusia proclaimed this area as a World Heritage of Mankind site. Professor Roger Garaudy has his own way of displaying the magnificence of Cordova. He established a mini museum. This is the museum of Professor Roger Garaudy.
There. And transmit my salutation to Anwar Ibrahim and to Dr. Mustafa Shanna.
This museum is named the 12th Century House because the artifacts displayed here originated from the 12th century AD. Among them is this traditional machine to produce paper. It is made of wood and is easy to manipulate. Although the Chinese were the first to produce paper, the Andalusian Muslims invented a new machine and technique in producing superior quality paper. The Chinese produced paper from silk. The Arabs used cotton instead. The high-quality paper produced by them became famous throughout the world. This is one of the contributions of Muslims for human civilization, a point which Professor Garaudy wants the whole world to know.
Foundation 10 years ago, because it was the influence of the presence of Islam in Spain was underestimated. Cordoue was during 4 centuries the center of irradiation of culture all over Europe. Science, theology, poetry, art. And so we create the only museum here presenting this presence in Spain. And it is so important that now we have 100,000 people visiting the tower, Calahorra, my foundation, Foundation Roger Garaudy, in here. It is very important because ordinarily when historians speak of Western civilization, they tell that there are only two sources, Judeo-Christian and Greco-Roman. But they ignore the third source, and the third one is the Arabo-Islamic presence here.
According to historical writings, the Umayyad kingdom in Andalus introduced a Taqwim al-Qurtubi, a systematic planting schedule which increased the agricultural produce tremendously all year round. It was helped by the Guadalquivir River, which has kept many memories of the greatness of Cordova. This water wheel is called Al-Bulafia by the locals. The Umayyads introduced systematic irrigation by developing networks of irrigation canals, thus directly reaching both the dwelling and agricultural sectors. This model shows that it was made from wood and attached to it were clay containers to scoop up the water. This is the replica of Caliph Abdurrahman III's palace, Madinat al-Zahra. Its beauty and fame in Europe is reflected by its twin, Cordova. This model reflects the milieu of Cordova as the world's leading center for intellectual development. During the reign of Caliph Abdurrahman and his son, Al-Hakam II. This library model depicts one of the 70 libraries which were built in Cordova during the reign of Al-Hakam II. These libraries kept a total of 400,000 valuable manuscripts. The academic tradition prospered in Andalusia. Mosques and libraries were built as education centers. Scholars were given encouragement and help in producing great works and masterpieces. Today, thousands of manuscripts penned by Muslim scholars are still kept in several libraries in Europe. Astronomy, another field which was dominated by Muslims. The miracle of the sky and the heavenly bodies were a mystery to human beings. They served as a challenge for the Andalusian scholars to study Allah's creations in a scientific manner. As a result, Muslim astronomers contributed greatly to the field of astronomy. In fact, a few stars were named in Arabic. Al-Zarqali was among the most respected astronomers because of his understanding about the positionings of the sun and the planets, about longitudes and latitudes, and about the nature of the eclipse. Besides being an academic center, Al-Andalus was also a famous trading hub. About 10 centuries ago, Ibn Hawkal, a writer in Andalus, wrote that a person can easily buy his daily needs in Cordova at very reasonable prices. Today, Cordova's golden age is shadowed by the European civilization, which rose after the fall of Andalusia. Abdul Rahman al-Dakhil might not have expected that his city of Cordova, still in existence today, to be run by people who are not Muslims and yet share his Islamic history and culture.